It's not like Atlus has been radio silent for a very long time. But with the start of every year, the question is always, what's next? Whether you're a fan of smaller companies like indie games and things like that, or big giant companies like Nintendo, Sony, or Microsoft, everyone in gaming is always pining for the next big thing. With Atlus, a lot of eyes are on the Persona series, as it is their most recent big, explosive in popularity series. But that doesn't mean we should take our eyes off their other potentially big IPs. So the question is, what's next for Atlus Games?
Who knows?
I think a lot of people view Atlus as pretty silent last year. I guess because they didn't really drop anything Persona related, which is their big title, and it doesn't help that they also had this giant Persona 25th anniversary celebration and had nothing to show for it. But whether we like it or not, in truth, last year was probably a pretty big year for Atlus in terms of growth. Dropping a port of their most critically acclaimed game in the last half-decade, Persona 5 Royal, is a pretty big deal. And if you don't totally believe that, well, for perspective, I suppose I'll show the Steam charts. Persona 5 Royal has surpassed the top concurrent player count for JRPG, surpassing games even including Persona 4 Golden, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and Final Fantasy XV. This game is a big deal, and Atlus potentially going multiplat is also a huge deal. Alongside this, there was also the announcement and the release of Soul Hackers 2. Both of these things happened within the same year. I know that this game didn't exactly perform up to standards, both with sales and the game itself, but I just want to talk about how big of a deal the change in Atlus's marketing might be. Atlus has commonly announced titles way too early and then gone radio silent for years. This happened with Persona 5, Shin Megami Tensei 5, as well as Tokyo Mirage Sessions. On top of that, also Persona Q2. If this is a new step for Atlus, not announcing games 5 years before they're ready, then I'm all for it. There were also some notable ports, including 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim, and Persona 4 Arena Ultimax.
Hard times?
There have been several interesting developments towards the end of 2022. As usual, there was the standard interview with Atlus's bigger employees, where they generally talk about their goals for the past year and their aspirations for the next. Kazuhisa Wada, I hope I didn't butcher that, the creative producer and chief director of the Persona team, stated that we have prepared what we needed to for the time being. Now we will push the accelerator pedal to 70% of our original intention and 30% of our current one, likely meaning that there is something coming up relatively soon. To further this point, at the end of the Persona 25th celebration, Wada stated that plans for the celebration were altered, so things did not go as planned. Now, does this mean Persona 6 is on the horizon? Not necessarily, but after 2 years of nothing new from the Persona series, we might be in for something soon.
Please just have mercy until my next paycheck.
Recently, once again, Atlus has renewed domains for P5B and P5M. P5U also remains, but I don't believe it needed to be renewed at this time. Once again, I think it's really hard to predict what these are. I did a video covering these, which you can check out up here, but the one thing we probably do know is that P5U is going to be Persona 5 Arena, as P4U is Persona 4 Arena. B and M remain unknown outside of wide speculation, but I'm assuming these are the next few upcoming titles in the Persona series due to the recent renewal of the domains. Persona 6 will likely have to wait until these games pass.
What is this thing? A monkey? A bear?
Another interesting development is in the interview with the Soul Hackers 2 directors. Mitsuru Hirata mentioned that right next to his desk, Shin Megami Tensei 5 was being developed, along with another new title on the other side. What could this title be? Well, it feels like it has to be something that's unannounced. Since no title was mentioned, it likely means that this is the case. There are a few potential series this could be related to outside of Persona games.
The seeds of possibility you attain will appear before you as cards.
Etrian Odyssey has been pretty silent since the tease in 2018. This was the tease of the next stage of the series, and it's possible this game could be coming out relatively soon. It has been 4 years since that was teased, and the average game development cycle right now is about 5 to 6 years. Vanillaware also teased a game when they released the demo of 13 Sentinels back in March of 2019. With the relative success of 13 Sentinels, I can't imagine Vanillaware shrinking away right now. However, we haven't heard much about this one either. So that leaves us with Project Re Fantasy, a new title and IP that has been teased around 2016. The game is apparently being developed by a new team at Atlus, called Studio Zero. We have yet to hear anything substantial about this game. In 2020, it was stated by the creative producer and chief director, Katsura Hashino, that the game was in its climax of development. However, since then, we only have another statement from 2021 of him saying the same thing. With no word since about a year ago, I can assume that the game is still relatively close to ready, but anything could have happened during development as well.
I'll take you there. You might find clues.
Atlus has been pretty vague about what's coming up this year. Aside from the ports of Persona 4 Golden and Persona 3 Portable, they don't seem to have anything lined up. But they did say that they're working on several unannounced titles for 2023, but I couldn't tell you whether that means the announcement of them is in 2023 or if the games are actually coming out this year. I'm relatively hopeful that we'll at least see a few new games from Atlus sooner rather than later, but again, anything can happen in game development. And what do you guys think? Do you think Atlus has some interesting games on the horizon? Or maybe you think we'll be waiting longer for them than I'm expecting to? Let me know down in the comments below. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and remember to subscribe to the channel for more things Persona, JRPG, and Atlus related. As always, a big thanks to you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.